welcome back to the club. Today we're talking about choosing your partner and how to date without impacting your hustle. We're your hosts, Akilah Ffriend and EboneChatman.
Hey y'all,
Yes. I mean, and if you don't know, now you know, we are in season 2. This is the first episode of season 2 and girl, I can't believe it.
Girl,
We
are here, we are making changes, we are moving along.
Yes. I think it's like we listen to you guys. We love our loyalists, as we said, who came week after week,
yes,
episode after episode, as we were just testing things out.
Literally. A science experiment.
Literally. Did we win first place in the science fair? I don't know, but A++.
I won't claim that one, yeah. I won't claim the first place prize, but
yes,
we're definitely on the ballot. We're on the ballot.
And that's all we could have hoped for season 1. So, I mean, honestly, but now we're coming back, not necessarily with a vengeance, but with a passion, with some energy.
Yes.
Just
some education.
Ready to deep dive on what this is really, what we really intended it for it to be from the very beginning.
Right. We just didn't have the ideas, the tools, the resources.
Yes.
We've thought about it now. We figured it out. Came with the game plan, okay?
Came with the game plan. So, just so y'all know, and we'll definitely reiterate this episode after episode too, but what we really envision this being is conversations with Black creators across industries.
Yes.
Across industries. We were super focused on pop culture, on entertainment. And I mean, we love it. That's what brings us joy. But beyond that, we just love Black people doing excellent things.
Doing amazing things.
Doing
I feel like
things.
That's exactly what we want to create, is like this quote unquote safe space for us to come and talk and have conversations. We want to talk to like entertainment lawyers, Black entertainment lawyers. So it's like you're creative out there and you are starting a business. Like, what are things that you need to get protected?
Yes,
what are things that you need to know? What are most asked questions? What does a lawyer do
for you?
We also want to talk about social issues and kind of bring up ideas like we're going to go into tonight a little bit about like colorism in the community, how that affects us, what is disproportionate in the Black community versus white community, how that all plays into each other. I mean, nothing's about reinventing the wheel, but it's about new creative ways to have these types of conversations.
Absolutely. That's it. And we're kind of expanding the way or the word, what does creative really mean? Like when you hear creators, usually you're thinking the artists, the filmmakers, the songwriters, but it expands beyond that. Business folks are creative as well, nurses, creative as well. There are things that you are doing in your day-to-day life that is probably very innovative, and we want to hear from it. We want to bring it to light. We want to show our listeners like this can be done. And so, we're going to be talking about that. Also, don't get it twisted. We're still going to be sharing our perspectives, our insights from 2 Black creators. We consider ourselves creators as well, obviously. Talking about society's most controversial topics and sharing how we develop our best selves in the midst of being creative, so that's what this is all about, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
This is gonna be fun. I'm super excited about the conversations that are about to be had. Like, I just feel like this is gonna be groundbreaking, something that's like exciting for people to listen to. So if we didn't have your attention before, we definitely gonna have it now. Okay?
Hello. Speaking of, I hope y'all were paying attention to the fact that we're both wearing our merch. If you're listening, we're wearing a shirt that says, I am a creator. We have the Black Creators Club on it as well. If you want to get this merch, and I'm sure you do, or something similar, go ahead to our website or go to our, Instagram page, things of that nature, at the Black Creators Club. Email us, theblackcreatorsclub@gmail.com, and we'll give you all the deets. Sign up to our mailing list, and the minute it drops,
sign up to the mailing list, because we are still working on the website and working on getting our manufacturer together for our merch. But put your name on the mailing list, because we will definitely be sending updates there.
Yes, there we go. But the big thing, as I mentioned at the top of this episode, the big thing that we're going to be talking about today before going into our Maven to Maven check-in and the BCC Spotlight Black Excellence News, we're definitely bringing that with us to season 2. But the main topic is Miss Dani Leigh, and her discussion on, it became a discussion based on the line in her song, and the title of her song, Yellow Bone is what he want, is what she I try to say in the way that she said, yellow bone is what he want. Yellow bone is what he want.
Oh my god, if you guys have not heard the song, like, that's literally exactly how she sounds.
what
literally exactly how Akilah did it is exactly how the song goes.
Yes.
Okay. Miss Dani Leigh. Okay, over there.
I gotta give it to you. Like, I love the visuals. The song, I don't know, but I mean, it really brought up, as Ebone was saying, the idea of colorism, and I think the bigger question for us here, because we like to have a question beyond the discussions. It's really like, how do you date without impacting your hustle? Because one of the first things we were thinking about was like, what is the baby? Where's
this man at?
What does he got to say?
Come get her. Okay, come get her off the gram, because we're done with your apologies. Like, I think, to go back to Dani, like, the problem with her, or with this, the issue is that she's not black. That's number one. And I feel like the term yellow bone, is like heavily used in the black community, and it's to describe a fair-skinned black woman. But I also feel like with that word, yellow bone, red bone, whatever, I think that also comes with some type of controversy. Like, not every light-skinned woman wants to be referred to as yellow bone or red bone or whatever, right? So I feel like that also brings up other situations. And then to not be black.
Yes.
You want to bring this to your own, to the streets. Like, ma'am, what were you thinking?
This is, and this is one of those things that just, it's an example of, yes, as a community, we want to be inclusive. We want, everyone to feel like you can be a part of this and experience the joy that it is to be black. But there's some delineations too. At the end of the day, you're not black. And so, yes, experience it. Date your black men if you're interested. Have your black friends if you're interested. Like, be who you want to be and connect with the folks that you think that connect to you, regardless of skin tone. Love it. But don't get it twisted. Just because you're hanging out and dating and doing all this stuff does not mean, and you should be aware enough, to know that that
doesn't give you a pass.
Yeah, it gives you a pass.
I think it was funny with her apology. She was like, a colorist, I'm like the furthest thing from it. I'm dating a whole dark man, and I have dark skinned friends. And I was like, isn't that exactly what a racist says before they start talking? Like, I'm not a racist. Don't worry. I have Jim Bob and all these other people, Jeff and Marcus, my black friends. Like, we're all fine. And it's like, whoa, okay, like, just because you're dating a black man, like, that doesn't exclude you from the fact that you could be seeing color in a different way, right? Like, she's like, oh, I don't even see color. That's a problem.
That's it. She said she never seen her skin as a privilege.
And she also said that she never sees her skin as a privilege. So she said two crazy statements in one apology that was so insincere.
Crazy. And it's even if again, outside of the black community, like, the Hispanic community has the same level of colorism. So if you're saying even as a Hispanic woman, you've never seen your skin tone as a privilege, I find that hard to believe. I'm not going to say that, you didn't have potentially things rough for you just by nature of, I don't know, social economic stuff. I have no idea about her life and her background, to be honest. But, girl, come on. Come on. Do better.
Yeah, do better. This is the thing. I feel like with either side of the spectrum, with someone who's darker skin or someone who has lighter skin, I think that there are struggles within the community either way. So if it's light-skinned people, they have a little bit more of quote-unquote privilege. At the end of the day, they're also still black. So you're also still dealing with the fact that, okay, you might be light, but you also are black. And so you're never going to be white enough or light enough to be hanging all the way with the white people because they see you as light, but they also see you as a black person in the room, you know what I'm saying? And as a darker skinned person,
there ain't no hiding me. Like, I walk into the room, it's like, listen, I have to embrace it, because it's one of those things where, again, we love the skin that we're in, but it's one of those things that you recognize how you're perceived sometimes, and you have to choose whether or not you're gonna make this, be a detriment or be your biggest asset. And I think one thing that she was saying, I'm trying my hardest to even play devil's advocate here, but I can't. I'm trying to, but she was saying the idea that, brown skinned women flaunt their skin and the joy of being in their skin all the time in these records. And it's true. There are a lot of dark skinned women talking about, melanin, I love my melanated skin, or dark skin. I can't recall exact lyrics at this point, but I mean, I'm sure
it was like Brown Skin Girl was an example.
That's
Coffee by Kelly Rowland.
That's another one. It's different though, because it's one of those things too where it's like, I'm gonna just extrapolate it, make it super extreme. you know, there's white folks and black folks. You know, we have songs and things that saying, like, oh, we love being black, things of that nature. If a white person came out and was like, yo, I love being white, even though I'm sure they do, like, you know, I love being white,
you're gonna look at them crazy.
Look crazy because you've never been on the oppressed side of things. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you don't need to even say you love it or what, just enjoy it, Bob. Just enjoy it on the side. You don't need to tell us that you love it because we know you do, and society has rewarded you for your skin.
Right.
So it's in the same regard. I don't even buy that argument. And I was trying to play devil's advocate to say, well, you know, she's right. We do really flaunt ourselves, our skin tone, and really the joy of it. But because we have to not even convince ourselves, but we have to really have those like affirmations because it's not really out there in the world. You know.
Do you feel like light-skinned women have a privilege in society?
I feel like it's constantly said. And it's one of those things where, you know, when it's constantly said, you're like, oh, okay, I guess, yeah. Like, it's easier to say, like, yes, you do, or they do. I can't personally say that I necessarily agree with that, though. Like, because it's for me, it's one of those things where it's like a privilege to who? Like, you know, is it, it's like, who am I trying to appeal to, where I'm like, oh, they have it better because they're the ones that being chosen for this guy. Like, if this guy wants that, like, that's not the guy for me. I'm not interested. I'm immediately uninterested. I'm interested if you're interested. You know what I mean? So it's not, it's one of those things where it's like, sir, okay, enjoy yourself. But like, you know, so we've all said it's true.
But do you think that, like, because I feel like sometimes when you're like going through things, you may be, like, for me, I'm always like, okay, I don't date white guys, but not because I'm anti-white man or like dating one, but for my experience, like, they don't always like me that way. So then I say, okay, like, I'm not cool. Like, I don't want to be at your frat parties. I don't want to be doing any of the stuff that you do because I'm not interested, because I know you're not interested in me. Like, when I would go to college parties, I'd be like, oh, Lord, get me out of here immediately, because I already know, like, I'm not going to get hit on by any of these people in here. So do you think that it's almost like a defense mechanism to be like, oh, well, like, they're into me. If they're not into me, I'm not into them type thing? Or do you think that, like, do you think that, you know, it actually is an issue?
No, I definitely would say that there must be an issue. But it's one of those things also that, because I don't have necessarily an example, or I don't necessarily know, you know, this is always the skin that I was in, and this was always like kind of the perspective that I was given because of the skin that I was in. I've never really personally been able to say something didn't happen or did happen because, you know, as compared to a lighter skinned person, like, I'm not getting the same feedback. I know, I'm certain, being a black woman in America, being a black woman in corporate America, being a black woman in a lot of majority white spaces, and oftentimes even, like, you know, if we're thinking even black men and how they would talk about me, or black women like me, or black women with my skin tone, even though they were black, sometimes even darker than me, there definitely was that. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, do I then feel bad because someone else is extremely ignorant and has showcased that ignorant to me? It's hard to say that is a level of oppression. Like, it's hard to say like that. It's more so, it's like, I feel bad for you, son. It's more like that. It's not necessarily like, you know, I feel like I've missed out on him, or
on this person because this person seems to be ignorant.
Yeah, it's clearly like, you wouldn't be in my space. You can't touch.
But I guess it's like even bigger, right? Like, let's say if it's just not like in your personal space, because you have more control over like who you allow into your space and energy. But I think the quote unquote privilege comes from people like on media or like on TV, of like what you see, like when you are, you know, they have a lot of like interracial couples in commercials.
Yes.
And my mom continuously points this out, and I'm like, Mom, like, my God, like, why you point this out all the time? Like,
I see, you know, but it's so true.
But it's because my mom is from a different era. You know what I'm saying? Where like that wasn't a normal thing to see on TV. Yeah. And so, but you always see like a lighter skinned black woman and maybe a white guy, or a white woman and like a medium toned black man. Like, you're not seeing super, you know, on the other spectrum, very like, you know, definitive features, characteristics of a black man. It's like, oh, well, like, he looks like he could be mixed, right? Yeah, let's throw him in there. The ambiguous thing. You get what I'm saying? So that's a true point. Like, in terms of like, you know, just being typecasted or being left out of opportunities because of your skin tone, and knowing that that's the reason, because sometimes you know, you can't really say, you don't know, like,
you know sometimes that was truly the reason, and it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow, I'm sure. So in those cases, yeah, for sure, it's definitely a thing where you can say the privilege exists. But again, you know, probably because I don't really like the word privilege, because I feel like what kind of privilege? Right? What kind of privilege is it to be in a space or be wanting to be in a space where someone doesn't accept you for who you are and who like that's not.
I think it's crazy because I feel like the whole idea about it is like this word of acceptance, right? So it's like darker skinned women and men feel like, oh, well, the lighter skinned people are more accepted by the white people.
Yes.
Which is where everyone wants to be, apparently.
And that's
because they're the ones who are cutting the checks, okay? Or picking the people in the music video. Or like, you know, even that thing, I know it was all over the internet the other day when that show, that like singing competition on Netflix.
Oh,
and it was like
no, it wasn't The Voice. Whatever. I know what you're talking about.
Wait, see if you can look it up on Netflix. But it was like Lenny Santiago. That's his name, right? The guy from 1501. Oh my God, that's Carl Crawford. Listen, No, Lenny. He used to date Adrian. No, you don't know. Lenny is a music producer. He used to date Adrian Bailon for like 6 years. That guy.
Oh.
So he was on there, Rick Ross was on there, and so the lighter skinned woman that had the boobs and the butt and the things, her voice, she's not a bad singer, but the darker skinned woman that was less glamorous had a better voice, but she got more ridicule. Like she kind of was like, he was like, like that didn't really fit your voice right. Oh, this. But the lighter skinned, beautiful, like done up one was like, oh, you're really going places. Yeah. And so it was all over the Shade Room and all over everything recently. And then the Dani thing came out. So it's like, you do see some type of quote unquote privilege to this like acceptance of wanting to be lighter or white and not white. And it's like, no one wants to be white, but it's like, if you understand what I'm saying, like the spectrum of the fact that like you're lighter, so you're closer to the whiteness, and you're more accepted in the white space, and like that for some reason gets bogged down within the Black community of being like, well, and I used to think,
you know, we were kind of not over it, but it wasn't because you know, growing up, it definitely was more prevalent. But now I don't know if it's because we're just grown and the adults and happen to be in spaces or happen to have a level of influence where it doesn't affect us as much, or you know, I'll speak personally, it doesn't affect me as much as it would have, let's say 10 years ago, or if I didn't, let's say, have this additional degree, if I didn't have this type of job, if I didn't have this type of position. But don't you
feel like you've had to work harder?
I know I had to work harder. Like, I know that's part of the reason why I did those moves, because I recognized that I wouldn't be taken.
Like you went to college and then also got your MBA.
Right. So and I realized, you know, one of those things that I felt, you know, and I truly believe I had to do in order to at least be in a position where I cannot be denied as much because of, you know, being a Black woman, a dark-skinned Black woman, you know? So it's one of those things where, absolutely recognizing, again, the privilege, or the lack thereof of that privilege, and then recognizing, like, you know, in order to overcome that, that's what you had to do. And so when you hear things like Yellowbone, it doesn't necessarily, you know, and probably that's a privileged thing to say, like, it doesn't affect me in that level, but because I kind of just, like, I recognize the ignorance of it, and I'm just beyond it, you know? But it's more so just her reaction.
The problem is that young girls are listening to this. Yes. So, you know, it's like people who are grown and just like can have the conversation. It's like, yo, we could just cancel you and just like not play your music. Like, it is what it is. But like the girls and kids that are in middle school that like look up to you and are listening. And I'm not saying that any celebrity has any, you know, like needs to be an activist. That's not what I'm saying, because I don't feel like your kids should be learning from artists anyway. Like, unless you're, you know, that's your goal. Like, I don't think that's you're just because you're famous doesn't mean you're also stepping into like being someone's role model or activist, right? Like I don't believe that at all. I just believe that you need to be aware of what it is that you say and put out there. Absolutely. So if you're saying Yellowbone and he had to switch up because this is better, or whatever you said on your record, it just makes it look like you're taking shots at a man who has a dark-skinned mother. And apparently there was like a rift between Dani and the baby mom, the baby's baby mom.
Thickens.
Okay? And so apparently it was some shots fired. But I mean, either way, it was ignorant. at the end of the day, and you're not black, sis, so
it's just like, why did you don't want this fight, girl? Like you don't want this. Like, why are you jumping into oppression? Like you don't right. Why you don't need to do this.
It's like that lady from the NAACP that was like,
Rachel Dolezal.
Yes.
Yeah, like
sis.
You don't need to, like, girl.
But you're white, but you identify as black, and you wanted to jump into the mess.
Like, it's lit, don't worry about it, but I mean, you don't
I just find it so funny that like people in like period, I mean, the thing is, like, we are the culture. Okay, we are the culture. Like I said, the tastemakers, the trendsetters, the knowledge seekers. Okay?
My love.
Culture starters, darling. Mm-hmm. So I understand why people want to be us. Absolutely. I get it. Like we're a lit culture.
Yeah,
I get it. But at the same time, you're also the first person that wants to dog us out too.
Yeah,
you know.
Hate us, go hate.
Hate us, go hate.
It's crazy though, and I think really going back to the question too of just like, how to date, how to choose when you're dating, or how to date without impacting your hustle, because I'm looking from the other side, the baby. Like, we know Dani Leigh, or I know Dani Leigh, obviously she's a dancer, wants to do her music thing, but really it's through her dating the baby, a dark-skinned man with dark-skinned kids, and
a dark-skinned baby mom,
and it's kind of like, well, I'm now looking at him like, is this
something you're okay with, sir?
You're okay with, like,
because we haven't heard you check her.
Yeah,
because that apology was half-assed.
Yes,
it was terrible. And then before you gave the apology, you wanted to go on Twitter and defend what your stance was.
Yes.
So like, do you ever? That's not genuine. And so for me, this is what I can't stand. Like, someone who wants to date and be a part of the culture, but then doesn't understand it.
Right.
Like, what?
Like, you should know what it was when you signed up.
No.
Like, you should. Like, absolutely.
How do you then want to, right? Like, you're not black and you're dating a black man, and then want to be like, I don't understand why everyone's upset. It's not even that serious.
Right. And it's kind of like, and then why I'm looking at, yes, you're both two adults, individuals, independent folks, but when you're dating someone, when you link yourself to someone, you gonna start being a reflection of that person.
Absolutely.
And so, like, no one's gonna stop streaming the baby because of this, like, or anything like that. But at the same time, like, I'm curious, because on a lower level or on a smaller scale, who you date matters. Who you associate yourself with matters. And this is one of those situations where I'm like, okay, you're okay with that? Because that's how I'm looking at it. Like, you're okay with that? Apparently, when she first posted the video, he, commented with all these yellow dots, kind of didn't really confirm or deny like what she was saying, was more so just like, okay, hyping her up with these yellow dots from what she was saying. But it's like, sir, like, this is serious. This is serious. What is wrong with you? Tell her to delete it.
Right. I mean, I guess you took down the song now.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Personally, I don't think that this will affect the baby at all. But no one out there probably watching or listening is the baby. So I would say definitely watch who it is, like the company that you keep, because if someone has a stance, for example, like my friend, Hispanic, was dating a white man, but his family was also very much so a Trump supporter. Now, the thing I'm taking out of that is the fact that, like, how can you associate yourself with someone that doesn't value the same things that you value?
Yeah.
Like, that for me was mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So if you're the baby or a black male dating either outside of your race, how can you stand by somebody who doesn't hold up the same values that you, like, we're talking about your mom, your kids, the woman you chose to have 3 children with.
Your kid, the person in every song you talking about, I would die for, I would shoot a bullet for, I would do this and that, like, and she's saying, like, she doesn't. The thing is, though, I don't want to put too much pressure, like, I'm doubling back, because it's not like she inadvertently said it, but she didn't say, I'm better than dark-skinned women, because, she literally was talking about this specific man, which is kind of goes back to our position of, like, all right, this guy your preference for dating is your preference. So then, like, that's kind of what he wants. That's literally what she said. But it's just more so like, the trickle-down effect of that is, like, what is that really telling?
The thing is, like, when we have songs that are like Brown Skin Girl or like Melanin or whatever, I think it's a celebration of skin tones. Yes. Multiple skin tones.
Absolutely.
And then to just put out a song that's just, like, titled Yellow Bone, just to, like, she was like, oh, I'm trying to like rally up my light-skinned sisters, but it's like...
And these guys do it too. These guys do it too.
Which isn't right either.
It's not right either.
I feel like it's a problem within the community, and this is something like I've talked about too on my Instagram, that it's like a problem within our own community. We need to stop highlighting the fact that like, oh, you're light, you're bad, girl, you're this, you're that, and you know, a dark-skinned girl, like, they have to make their own songs for it to be celebrated and talked about. And I just don't feel like any of it is okay. Like, the men's songs, or, you know, let's have a yellow bone. Like, I don't think any of it... Why are we talking about skin tone? Like, we're talking about it's beautiful, period, point blank, period, poo.
That's it.
It's like, we don't need to, like, point out specifics.
I get it.
About, like, skin tones.
Well, do you feel like you're saying that because you are a lighter skinned woman, like, you feel like you can definitely be like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, don't even talk about it. Like, granted, we're saying the same thing, but I'm curious from your perspective, you know, how did you come to that conclusion?
I definitely feel like it's something to be talked about. Like, I think the conversation needs to be had because it continues to be an issue. I personally just feel like it's sad that it's an issue, if that makes sense. Like, it's sad that it's an issue that we have to sit and like talk about the fact that like, you're lighter, I'm darker, this is beautiful, this is considered this because of the media and because of this. So now everyone's brainwashed and trying to like fight a fight that really isn't our fight to fight. You get what I'm saying? Like, we don't need to be turning in on each other. We need to be like looking outwards and like figuring out ways to build as a community together. And I know that sounds so cliche and
but I mean, it's true.
And like, wait, that doesn't, you know, answer the question. But I feel it's an issue that needs to be talked about because it's an issue that continues to be clearly, it's an issue, right? Because people clearly have misconceptions on what it means to be black, what it means to be yellow bone, dark skin, light, all purple, blue, green. Like, everyone has these different perceptions of what it is in the black community, how it affects them. Doesn't affect this person as much, but it affects this person way more.
It's a very individual experience too.
It's a very individual experience. So I definitely feel like it's something that should be talked about. I just personally feel like it's sad to have the conversation. Just like it was sad that, you know, that last summer we had to do the whole Black Lives Matter thing. Yeah. Sucks, have to do it, so important, but it's sad that that is an issue.
And okay, there it is. There it is. How do we make sure you're dating someone who doesn't impact your hustle? Be intentional about all of these things. And
be intentional, be aware, be self-aware, know who you're dating.
Know who you're dating.
No, that's a representation of you, because we're gonna look at you crazy.
I'm looking like okay, guys.
I know we have such a heavy topic, and I really do feel like the topic is so ambiguous and big, and so many other little topics, and not hopefully, but we will be diving more into this with, you know, a professional to interview to really have a wider perspective, more professional opinion on the idea of colorism.
This is the surface, and I'm glad, if anything, that this song helped us start talking about it, because these are the kind of conversations I think we need to have, and it's always going to be something in our community. Unfortunately, I think it's something we should get over, but it's going to take time because everyone is having a different
Everyone's
experience,
hurt,
you know. Everyone
hurt people.
Exactly.
But you guys, what's not hurting you is watching this podcast. And so we are so excited that you continue to rock with us. We're excited to deliver new information, new exciting interviews. We have fire content popping up all over the gram. We are changing, you know, rebranding and doing everything. So we really appreciate you. We are really putting in hard work, sweat, and tears over here to make this work. So we appreciate your support. So please continue to watch us on YouTube, like and subscribe, as well as following us on all social media platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube, everything at the Black Creators Club. And we will continue to see y'all every single week. Okay.
There we go. There we go. All right, y'all. It's time for our Maven to Maven check-in. If you don't know, now you know. It's really a week-to-week thing that we talk about our own pursuits, things that we're doing, highlights from the week when it comes to becoming and, you know, standing in the truth of us being media mavens.
Ooh, so, Jesus.
Yes.
It's definitely a task.
It's definitely a task.
But this past weekend was so exciting for Akilah and I, because we made our little Black Creators Club retreat. We went down to the Hoxton Hotel in downtown LA, and we stayed there for the entire weekend. We got so much done. We had this one made a full stacked agenda first.
Done. We were gonna leave with things done. Okay.
First of all, she made a 3-day full packed agenda of like questions and items we needed to answer and how we needed to answer them and like all these analytical things. And then on top of that, we did a branding shoot.
We did a brand shoot, and Ebony came correct with the merch. She's the reason why we have these shirts right now, and we had it for the branding shoot as well.
Yes.
So I mean, it was glorious, and I think it was just awesome for us to just kind of think we didn't disconnect. We obviously were very entrenched with Black Creators Club stuff, but also just hang out. I haven't seen you forever.
I know. It's like we bonded so much. I mean, it was like we business, reels, we got social media content, we got new ideas for topics for the podcast, we had the shoot, and then it was like we had all the girl time. All the girl time, all the tea we needed to drink and have, honey, crumpets and the little finger sandwiches, hunty. Like we were really doing it all. We were doing it all.
Everything. It was great. It was great. So that's pretty much what it was. And if you want to know details, we're posting things on our Instagram about it. So again, follow us at the Black Creators Club and you can indulge, you know? Let's get right into the BCC spotlight. We love this section.
So many good things.
This is when we highlight Black excellence in the news and people just doing amazing things.
Black on black, my thoughts so black on black, my skin is so black, I'm rocking that black on black.
Again, with season 2, we are expanding beyond the world of entertainment, beyond the world of, you know, the creatives from the literal sense, and just people, Black people doing Black things in an excellent way.
Okay, and a safe space to talk about it.
And right.
We're not here to gossip about it. We're here to tell you the real, put you on game, let you know what's up, okay? Amanda Gorman, the 22-year-old poet at the presidential inauguration, y'all. If you have not seen this poem, I'm gonna need y'all to get to Googling. Get to the YouTube page right now, because that poem personified Black excellence to me.
Yes.
First of all, the girl's gorgeous.
Yes.
Secondly, the ideas and the words and how she made them flow. This is partly the reason why I don't like to write. I don't like to write because the amount of time it takes you to really think about how a sentence needs to flow together to make it make sense when you're writing an article, I don't got the time. But the way she put the words together for that poem, it was beautiful.
Amazing.
Her books were the #1 and #2 books on Amazon after the inauguration. So clearly people agreed that, you know,
she had something to say.
She was popping.
Right.
I mean, she was popping, I think, verified before you know, the inauguration. But I think that this definitely brought national, worldwide attention to her as a poet and as a person that is doing amazing things.
And even, you know, she was recently signed to IMG Models too. So I mean, she's just collecting in multiple avenues, and we love to see it. So
girl, you better collect them coins. Collect them coins, girl. Yes, we're so good for it. We need to get you on the Black Creators Club.
Yes.
Oh my God, we're gonna put her on the list actually. Yes, absolutely. So the next part of the news is Jay-Z, along with select California
cannabis operators.
Yes. Rock Nation formed the largest cannabis company in California. Okay, so Jay-Z owns, right?
Yeah, now or at least has a major stake in it, because it's him, it's Rock Nation, who's, you know, Jay-Z, and then it's a bunch of California cannabis companies, weed companies, etc.
It's called the parent company.
It's called the parent company. Yeah, and it's now the largest cannabis company in
makes
California.
Sense, right? Because it's schooling everybody else. Okay, it took everybody to the daycare, honey, with this one.
Yes, and it's kind of the conversation that we always have, or folks have always had, about the fact that yes, now that weed is legalized in a lot of different places, weed, you know, definitely aligned with the Black community, and oftentimes, you know, marginalized because of it, jail times, etc., etc. How do you get a piece of the pie now that it's, you know, legalized, and Jay-Z is making it happen? So just good for him.
You know what, Jay-Z, I really am excited about this, because to see a man who already has plenty of money, he really could not lift another finger. He's still out here really doing great things for the Black community, putting the Black dollar back into the areas that it needs to. And that, I feel like I applaud him for that, and I hope he's continuing to like give people jobs in that sense as well.
Totally.
You know, because there's so many people that like you said, went to jail for this offense, and you know, might have a difficult time getting a job. Listen, the parent company might be hiring. Maybe you need to go apply.
Exactly. And I mean, with that, this was a packed show today. I'm so excited. This is season 2, episode 1. down in the books. Again, catch us on Spotify, podcast, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, you know, wherever you listen to your stuff. You can find me chatting business, pop culture, and lifestyle at Akilah Ffriend. You can find Ebone chatting millennial visionaries at where?
Okay, at EboneChatman 12 on Instagram and on Twitter.
Yes.
I'm really trying to be, we always say this, but we're really trying to be more active on the Twitter. Honey, Black Twitter, I be trying to get on it.
Trying to get that don't be working.
Black Twitter, I try to get on it. That don't be working, but I'm gonna figure it out.
We're gonna figure it out.
But yeah, you can definitely find me on all that, and I'm excited.
Yes, and of course, you know, again, keep up with the Black Creators Club at the Black Creators Club on all platforms. Thank you so much for joining us, and remember, always be creating. Abide by your ABCs. See ya.